What's up? Bill McCleskey in the building with
my boy.
He said my boy.
Just be smooth. Can't stop to lie. Won't stop to lie. Can't stop to lie. Won't stop to lie. Can't stop to lie. Won't stop to lie.
Yo, we got the hottest podcast in the nation. TechDontSleep.com. Follow us today.
Can't stop to lie. Can't stop to lie. Won't stop to lie. Ain't no Chico. Just be smooth. Can't stop to lie. Won't stop to lie. Can't stop to lie. Won't stop to lie. Can't stop to lie. Won't stop to lie. Ain't no Chico. Just be smooth.
And we are live. All right. Welcome y'all to Tech Don't Sleep. My name is Bill McCleskey. And we have with us on the far left here, my far left,
Barbie Evans. Hello.
What up? And we have a special guest today, right here in downtown Nashville at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, Haley Zapolski, affectionately known as Zap. All right, Zap, when we have a guest on the show, one of the first things we do is we ask you a series of questions, and these are really, quick questions. You give us like a 4-second answer, okay?
Okay.
And it's an option question, all right? So just go with the flow. Wine or liquor?
Liquor.
Rap or country?
Rap.
What's your most used emoji?
I do the simp face a lot.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Which of your senses could you afford to lose?
Smell.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did you have color?
I have bad smell already,
How do you know if you have bad smell?
I just can't, perfumes, they don't do as much for me. So,
okay.
And I can't get rid of taste or touch or sight or sound. I gotta use those to make money.
No question. What job do you have smelling to make money? Okay, got it. Dress or pants?
Oh, dress.
What?
You know it.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or Pinterest, or LinkedIn?
Sadly, LinkedIn.
Sadly.
I am all about that LinkedIn
That's
cloud.
awesome.
All right, here's a good one. Nicki Minaj or Cardi B?
Cardi B.
Okay, I
I'm
couldn't
so
name
close.
one song from either one of them.
Seriously?
Why you ask the question then? You're like,
I'm
this
just
is a
reading the
tough one.
paper. You know what I'm saying? All right, passenger or driver?
Driver.
All right, name your favorite children's story.
Who's that author that just passed away recently? Remember? It was big news. Judy B. Jones books, I think. I think it was the Judy B. Jones books.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
series.
Judy. Yes, my cousin. Okay.
Or the Adventure Treehouse Kids. I can't even remember what I was
love
reading.
those.
You know what I'm talking about?
Zap, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, so you were a child not too long ago. Okay, so do you prefer toilet paper under? Or I thought this question was gonna read. Do you prefer toilet paper? All right. Do you prefer toilet paper under or over?
Over.
All right. Who was your celebrity crush growing up?
Ooh, I had a weird celebrity crush. I was in love with James Franco. Controversial figure. Yes.
Was it because he was so controversial? Was that the
I don't know.
attraction?
Or it was Machine Gun Kelly. Literally, I would type into YouTube Machine Gun
I can
Kelly.
see that.
Hot.
Yeah.
Let's go with Machine Gun Kelly. When Wild Boy came out, I was 13
I can see
years
Machine
old.
Gun Kelly because
Yeah.
he's a little rugged and
13 years old, and I was like, ooh,
Where are you
Wild
from,
Boy.
though? Iowa, right?
Iowa.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
okay.
can see Machine Gun Kelly.
All right, so let's keep moving through these lame questions here. All right, so soda or juice?
Juice?
All right, Apple or Android?
Apple.
Okay, who do you admire most?
Bill McCleskey.
That's right.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Good way to get it in.
Yeah,
That's
but for
great.
real, who do you admire most?
That's a good question. I should come up with a better answer. As a kid, I would have said Oprah. Nowadays, honestly, it's the industry entrepreneur leaders in town.
Mm-hmm.
So, you, Michael Bertram, Mark Montgomery, Josh Mundy, people I see out there hustling.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that up because we're going to talk about more of that and your role here at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center and all that good stuff. So, yeah, it's cool. That makes sense. Are you a listener or a talker?
Come on, that's not even fair.
Talker. What song best describes you?
What song best describes me?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a song called Boss Ass Bitch somewhere, but I don't know if I can say that on the podcast.
You just said it now. We grown. It's fine. Like, okay, so is that the song? Like, what song? Like, when
That's
you
the
know
Cardi B.
Like, when you know you gotta come into work and like it's a busy day and you gotta get it in. Like, what song gets you hyped?
Honestly, not like a good one. I love, like, there's a Goosebumps by Travis Scott remix. That's like my go-to
Okay.
hype song.
Okay.
For like a party, a hype up.
Okay.
But it's kind of, there's nothing to do with me. There's nothing
That's
to do
what
with
you.
the lyrics.
That's what you play
But it gets you
before
hyped.
the party.
Though. That's okay.
Yeah.
On your way to the
I'm not a
party.
Rough Rider and I listen to DMX, so I'd be
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
like, it gets me in that.
I was never a DMX fan.
That's a whole nother podcast. Don't get me started. He's
okay.
just phenomenal. He was wonderful.
Oh wow.
A great poet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Uber or Lyft?
Neither. I'll walk. I'm cheap. I'm
my
serious.
God.
I'll tell you one quick story. I was just on Broadway this weekend and there's an Uber shortage. I had no idea. It was $112. I was like,
Wow.
we are not paying that.
Yeah.
I got a ride from a security guard home.
Hey.
This
How
man
far do
felt
you live
like-
from downtown?
Like
From Broadway.
5 miles.
Wow.
But this man felt like it was his mission to get me and my roommates home safely.
Oh, he took all of y'all home.
Yes.
It wasn't just you.
Because
Like,
I
you
was
jumped
like,
the
it's
car.
just me and my other roommate, but I was like, we are not paying $112. And we can't walk. And I explained the situation
but that's because
to
it's
him.
surging. Because people in that area.
Yes, it's
So
surging.
why don't you just walk
It's a
away
shortage.
from downtown, and then it would have been cheaper.
That actually would have been clever. I never considered that option.
Yeah.
I was under the influence, so critical thinking was
Gotcha.
limited, but I still made some smart
I so
moves.
love her. Like, I liked her before, but like, she's just
Okay, let's
Yeah.
round this thing out. Couch potato or workout junkie? I know the answer to this.
Workout
Come on,
junkie.
That's
man.
right.
You
That's
gotta-
right.
you gotta
hey,
ask.
listen. I probably skipped some questions. Oh, here's one I skipped. If money was no object, what would be the first thing you do right now?
That's a good question.
Ooh. Like I have unlimited money to spend, or like money doesn't matter.
Like,
so
it
I can
doesn't
do whatever
matter.
I want.
Yeah, money doesn't matter. Yeah.
What
You
I would
whatever
do.
you want.
I'd probably bike across the country
Wow. Are you
for
a biker?
fun. Yeah, that's like a thing I want to do for fun, and then I would start a nonprofit, probably working with like underserved youth.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
But I would do honestly my own thing first, if I'm being really honest. Then
Yeah,
I'll do
yeah,
something
yeah,
else.
no.
I mean, you can't give out an empty cup, so
True.
fulfill yourself
These
first.
were pretty
Yeah.
fun with you, Zap. We're gonna
Yeah.
do the last one. Never mind. All right. So, online shopping or in-person shopping?
In person, here's why. I love the mall. I love to like look good, go to the mall. Malls are dying, they say. I still love them.
They are dying. Let me tell you. Okay, I haven't been to the mall it's probably because of COVID, but I haven't been to the mall in a minute. You know, and my wife, she was like, "Let's go to the mall." I'm like, I got something to do.
Yeah, I have to be
It's a great
honest,
place to
COVID
get
was
some
a good
steps
cover
in.
For me, I don't like people.
Yeah.
I'm such a home person.
Did you just say you don't like people?
No,
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
I can deal in very
Yeah.
short intervals,
Yeah.
but for the most part,
Like this podcast.
yeah, like, hey, how long is this lunch play? No, I'm just like, but I can be a people person, but I prefer.
Barbie, that's not true. You like people.
That's,
I don't.
I'm
You're a
serious.
great people person. Or at least you put on a front on it.
No, I can deal with people. I have good personable skills, but it
Yeah.
is only because I take my me time out so much
I like
that I'm able
Yeah.
to balance it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the next segment of our show because we really want to jump into some current news, I guess. Right? You got some tech news?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
because the reason we want to do this, and let me just explain this to Zap and our audience. So our audience is primarily entrepreneurs and small business owners who want to use technology to grow their business, right? And so we want to talk about some trending subject matter that applies to these entrepreneurs or business owners to help them either, gain clients, work more efficiently, and things like that. So, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but what you got
I'm
over
ready
there?
for the surprise.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Forbes magazine published an article online yesterday, actually. And it basically was titled The 15 B2B Marketing Trends for Small Businesses. And listed at number 9 was this new solution called Branding Calling Solution. So basically the premise around that is because of COVID, a lot of personable interactions between consumer and service provider was lost. So in order to bridge that back and gain the trust of the consumer demographic, this app allows companies to brand who they are mobily.
When they're calling.
When they're calling.
Yeah.
So when they call, it doesn't just say 1-800 whatever. It'll
Yeah.
say your company name, your address, your logo, your e-card app, and it kind of just puts a little bit of more of not the 1-800 cold calling.
Yeah, it brands the company.
Right.
Yeah.
So this company called New Star reported that the people who got onto this trend early on saw a 56% increase in the first call pickup when they reached out to their consumers.
Yeah.
So branding call solutions just allows a lot of companies to put a little bit of them into the phone call instead of it saying 615, especially for Nashville area for us. And then also simultaneously, this New Star company also adds the stir shaking component, which basically can allow them to differentiate between spoof numbers, if numbers are spoof or not, and be able to filter those out.
Nice. So New Star is the company, the provider that provides this service.
Yes, it's one of the
Is it
companies that
New
provides
Star?
Star. Say it again.
How do you spell it?
New Star. It's NEU Star.
An EU Star. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? It's fun. Now that you mention that, because you mentioned that earlier this morning. One of our vendors told me about New Star a couple of months ago from Teleavigate. Paul did.
Okay.
But he was using New Star for something else. He was able to search phone numbers, and then we could determine what carrier that number, who had that carrier.
Okay.
But that's pretty cool. So they're offering that. I think the biggest takeaway that I heard was, people are picking up the phone, because when I see a number that I don't recognize,
Right, we don't answer.
if it's 800 number or whatever, I don't pick it up. I don't answer my phone anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My wife called. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just playing, wifey. But no, that's good, because if I do business with a company, or if I'm a frequent customer of a company, and they call me, I'm probably going to pick up. You know what I mean? Especially if I see their logo. So that makes sense. Right. No, that's cool. I wanted to talk about. So there's this article on Business News Daily, and 10 small business tech trends for 2021. So the reason I wanted to talk about one in particular is because here at My Tech Partners, we recently had a customer who was dealing with this issue, and this particular trend was focusing on cybersecurity. Okay, so here's what it says. According to research from Bullgard, nearly 60% of small businesses think it's unlikely that they will be targeted by a cyber attack. Okay, so most companies, that have been attacked before, like MasterCard, Target, and Starbucks, these huge companies, right? So, small business, the family doctor or the chiropractor or a restaurant, they think, I don't need to worry about cybersecurity. But a couple of days ago, you got a phone call from a small doctor's office, one of our clients, and this gentleman or his staff was freaking out because somebody had taken over their network. They were clicking on files and all this stuff, and they were like staring at the computer watching it happen. So cybersecurity is really huge. So if you're a small business and you think that you don't need to protect your network, you should think again. And in fact, if you're in certain industries, you're required to protect your network, like healthcare, financial. You got to be HIPAA compliant in healthcare, PCI compliance in the financial industry, and I'm sure education has their compliance. So it's pretty big, and I don't understand why some companies, especially healthcare companies, still are not protecting their network. I don't get it.
I think because it's not necessarily required. It's just like one of those things where it's not regulated. It's regulated after the fact. If they get audited and they'll say, if it has never happened, then they don't really necessarily need a protocol. And I think that is how most of us act anyway in human nature. We are reactive instead of proactive. Yeah. But now with everything going on, especially with all of our information being shared and social media and stuff like that, I think it is very important for our customers to be able to set up the security to protect their clientele, and then also to protect them from being liable for sensitive information
being fined,
because now that company will have to work with one of our partners that we reached out to, and they will now have to say, hey, this happened. They have to be open about it. Hey, have you ever been attacked? Yes. Okay, what did you do after? We immediately called this company. These are the protocols that we set up, and they have to implement that into their processes and their operations now as a requirement. So yeah, it should be done before, because no telling what they.
Yeah, you got to be proactive, because it can literally have shut his business down. It could have been ridiculous. But anyway, so if you're a small business and you need to protect your network, reach out to us. We have a lot of strategic vendors and partners all over the country that can really help you, and we can shop that for you and make sure you're getting what you need to protect your business and to provide that security for you. All right, man. We got a crazy special guest in here, man. Haley Zapolski, and she's known as Zap. We call her Zap around here. Why do we call you Zap? Because we can't pronounce Zapolski.
It's just way cooler than Haley. You know,
is.
honestly, it's because I started working here and there is another Haley, and they started calling me Haley too.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
trust me, I'm not second.
Haley
no.
too. Oh, you know.
No.
That's what my number 2 said too. I was like, okay. Well, yeah.
And I know I always did sports, and they called me Zapolski, but that's like a little too much. So I was like, call me Zap, and then we did. I was trying to come up with a name for the weekly email, and people could submit, and then you voted on this, and people voted. I'm serious, they voted for Zap's Rap. So now like the Zap is like stuck.
Do you not remember, or did you just click?
You didn't know, but it was a public
I don't think
voting process to decide the name of the
Zap's
weekly
Rap.
email.
Okay, no, that's cool.
So you say you played sports. Was that at
Yes.
University of
Yes.
Michigan, and did you start before in high school?
So I started before.
You went to U of M?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Are you serious? Go Blue! Come on.
No, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. No, I started sports like super young. Definitely from a sports family, but I started rowing when I was 15, and then was recruited and did row at Michigan. Luckily, it paid for my tuition, so I got off with no college debt. Woohoo! Pretty rare now.
I don't know, Sam. I thought like you played volleyball or
I
something.
know. Rowing doesn't have like the same sex appeal as like a cool volleyball soccer sport, but it paid the bills, and it's like it's one of the hardest sports out
You
there.
have to be in like crazy shape,
Honestly,
right?
rowing is like not one of those. None of the sports are fun at that level, but like rowing is like a grueling process.
Yeah. I heard. I was listening to another podcast. You ever heard this guy named Rich Roll?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, is he that popular? I don't know. Like I asked some people.
I'm just curious how this relates to rowing, though.
No, because he was saying that he was telling.
I'm like, okay.
No, it's going to come together. So he was telling a story. He had a guest on. He was telling a story about rowing, right? And how one of his friends, who's like his age, like 40 something, walked onto the rowing team at some university, and apparently you don't have to be a student.
No.
I promise you. He said you don't have to be a student at this university or in this league or whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was like 40 something. He made the rowing team.
That is crazy.
Like, we need some more people. Are you in shape?
Yeah. And so it's funny that you're saying you got out of U of M with no college debt, because you're an economics major, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what about economics brought you to that study, and how do you use it in your capacity now, in your work capacity?
Yeah, my honest truth is that I do not use econ very much. I took econ because I was in a 500-person freshman class, and I sat in the front row, and that professor knew my name. And I took his next class, and his next class, and his next class, and that was all his classes. But at that point, I had taken all the core curriculum of the major, and I was like, I should major in this. And I wanted to do business, but business was a lot of soft skills in undergraduate. And I'm like, I already kind of have the soft skills. Like, why do I need to go and take other classes that teach me these things I can teach myself? So econ seemed a little bit more gritty, and honestly, I just was not smart enough to be an engineer. Otherwise, I probably would have done that.
I feel you.
But
That's a lot of math.
Yeah, too much math for me.
Yeah.
But econ was just the right amount of.
So Haley, I don't even know why I call you Haley. Zach, what is your what's your role here at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center?
Yeah, so my title is program manager, but I kind of view my role as like the air traffic control of the EC at this point.
Which means what?
It means that I put the people where they need to go, usually. So I do have a team that I manage, but at this point, like, I manage the membership community, I manage our volunteer community, I manage all of our events, workshops, speaker series, I manage our COVID relief small business program that's kind of currently like not running necessarily. And then I manage our navigation partners, which is all of our like city partners, if that makes sense. Yep. So oftentimes I kind of joke, my job is just meeting with people and like figuring out what work needs to be done, where to plug them in, whether, you know, just having this meeting, trying to understand, explain to them, this is Entrepreneur Center, here's all the ways that you can plug in with us, and either I usually hand them off to someone else on the team at a certain point in time.
Yeah. So the Nashville Entrepreneur Center is a Google hub, right?
Yep.
So what does that mean? Explain how many Google hubs there are in the world and what that means.
So in the world, I actually don't even know that number, but I can tell you in the country where there's 9 of them. Okay. So we're one of 9 Google for Startup Tech Hubs. It means that Google is just really a partner of ours, and they're trying to work closely and really get entrepreneurs onto their technology. Most specifically is the Google Cloud credits. So if you are developing, let's say, software, you would be needing to use either something like a Google Cloud credit or like, you know, AWS is the most popular. Azure. So they want to get you early. You know what I mean? Definitely. Because if they get you early, they'll give you their Google Cloud credits for free through us. And then let's say you blow up and you become a unicorn, a big business. Well, you started off with Google, right. And then now you're paying for Google, and you need a lot of Google Cloud credits. But it's also just an easy way for people who just have ideas to at least like begin to build the framework of their tech for free, as opposed to necessarily paying like potentially thousands of dollars until they really become a legitimate business. So they just work with us to like give that avenue to entrepreneurs for free. What
are some of the other cities that have a Google hub, like Nashville? I know Austin, right? Austin is
Austin would have one. Obviously San Francisco. I'm pretty sure like a Boston. I would say that we're probably one of the smallest cities with a tech hub.
Chicago too, right? I think.
Yep, Chicago definitely has one with 1871, but like I don't think Atlanta is one necessarily, for example. So I think we're like their southeast spot. There might be one in Tampa. But really, we're kind of unique of where we are with Google.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that out there, just in case people are watching from other markets, other cities, then they can plug in. Because I remember what's cool about being a member of the Entrepreneur Center here in Nashville is when I, travel, and if I go to another city, like I went to Chicago once, and I said, hey, I'm going to be going to Chicago. I want to hit the hub there. I think it's 1871. Yeah. So I was able to work there in that particular center while I was in the city. So it's pretty cool at no cost. So
and the other thing is because you're here, you can work at those other cities for free.
Exactly.
So if you're traveling to any of those, we can set you up so you get free space. If you are traveling to a lot of those other spots, and we'll host people too if you want to come visit. We're pretty. I love a visitor. I love to show people Nashville and let them know that the tech scene here, it's emerging, it's booming, and they can come experience it here a little bit.
So tell us about the tech scene here. Like what's going on in Nashville that you see that you're excited about?
Yeah.
And what do you think is happening in the near future, 6 to 12 months out?
Yeah. 6 to 12, that's not even long enough for these. So, but I'm just really excited about the Nashville's tech scene. I think that we are an underdog. I don't think people necessarily, the first thing they think of when they think of Nashville, it's not technology. Right. That is further down the list. But because it's just all these other industries are growing here, and because people are flocking here, tech is coming. And I really think part of that is because, tech employees are so well paid, they sort of have the option to choose where they live. So we're already seeing a big exodus of remote workers come to Nashville. And just the quality of life, people want to live in Nashville. And that's really what I think is recruiting these tech companies, is not the existing tech scene, but hey, this is a great quality of life. This is going to help us attract top talent. So things I'm super excited about is, Oracle bringing 8,500 jobs here, building a campus. That's going to be huge. And it's not only that, like, hey, Oracle is bringing tech employees here, but one day those Oracle employees will leave Oracle. And hopefully some of them will leave and start other companies that will grow and is just the best form of economic development. I'm really excited that recently, you know, Marcus Whitney, if you know who that is, he's launching a VC fund called Jumpstart Nova, specifically for founders of color in healthcare, which is going to be unique in the Nashville market. We don't have anything sort of currently existing like that. I'm really excited about.
So he raised, how much did he raise? Because I saw an article.
I think it was 18 million.
18 million. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And then the Tech Council is about to launch their Tech into Nashville campaign.
Wow.
So that's a huge campaign where they are essentially recruiting tech employees from other cities to move to Nashville. Because there's so many jobs about to come here, they're like, all right, they're trying to get all these different tech companies to buy in, saying, instead of doing your own individual recruiting, let's do like this citywide collaborative effort to convince tech employees to come here and, you know, launch this whole branding, marketing, and PR campaign for tech in Nashville.
Right.
And then one more thing. Sorry, I'm excited about a lot of things.
No,
I'm super
right
stoked
ahead.
about Josh Mundy with Pivot Technology School and just how he is working with a couple of things.
Shout out to Josh. What's up? And
Yeah, I was just gonna say his push to to give people who live here the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, hey, these jobs are not gonna be here you know, and he continues to say that, and it's true because, like what you said, an influx of people who already have the education, so he's pushing it for people of color to get into tech too. So
tech is genuinely, it's an equalizer. It's so merit based. It's something that seems super. It's not for everyone necessarily, but like most people can do it and they don't even realize it because they have not been exposed. And I realized that one of my good friends was a barista, and we were living together, and honestly it was a night when I had maybe a couple of drinks, and at a certain point I said,
another one of those nights.
Yeah, not too many of those, I promise, but when they happen they're memorable. But and I kind of said to her, I was like, so like, no offense, but why are you broke? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you're just like a hustler. Like, I don't understand like why you're working this dead-end job when you could be doing so much. And she's like, and I said, have you ever considered going to learn technology and like work in tech? And she had never considered it. And I was like, dude, and she had studied graphic design in college but never used it. And I was like, dude, you should really consider this. Like, I think you could do it. And and she ended up, and I think just no one like really had told her that and had believed in her. And so it was so cool for me that then she went to software school, she just graduated, she has a job as a UX designer, and she like doubled her income.
Where'd she go to school
doubled
at?
Nashville Software School.
Okay.
So she doubled her income in 6 months, you know? And
it's crazy.
And I'm so excited because I feel like Josh is this hype man for Nashvillians, specifically, you know, Nashvillians of color, saying, hey y'all, like this is a chance for us to like make money. And you should hop on this train.
Right. And it's funny that you said that because I don't know if have you ever watched the movie Middleman? I had to look it up. It actually talks about how electronic payments came into play. And it actually came from two people. One of the guys used to work at NASA and another one like worked at a club, but they were very smart.
Is that a recent movie?
It came out, I was just looking it up.
Somebody told me about that.
It's such a good movie. I'm telling you. Okay, so how they started is actually they started selling basically women's magazines, right? So they were selling them, and what they would do is go and take pictures. I think they lived in Las Vegas or somewhere, so they would go and take pictures of, you know, women in person and put it into these magazines and sell them. So they were making all of this money, and they were both two people that were just staying in an apartment together, like what you just said. Wow. And one of the guys was like, they kept getting these payments through money order and check, right? And the guy said, man, I wish there was a way we could take payments through the computer. And the guy that used to work at NASA was like, okay. So he turned around and just started going at it.
Started coding.
And he created a program that allowed people to use their credit cards to digitally get the products and services. Online. And it's funny because that wasn't even his focus, you know. And so like I think about like I'm a writer and I love poetry and stuff. I never thought I would be interested in tech, but I am, you know. And it's like the more I learn, the more I'm interested in it because it's so innovative and you can do so many things in technology. So most
well, it's like you can't even you can't even avoid it anymore.
No.
Like every business is a technology company now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And all the jobs are in tech. I just think it's the future of work, and
It is.
we're kind of going through this difficult time where it's like, you know, people are graduating not getting jobs, or people are underpaid, and it's really because, I mean, they're paying way too much for software engineers because people don't understand it's supply and demand.
Yeah.
People, they're paying
Yep.
so much for tech employees
Because it's not enough.
because there's literally not enough talent. And there is so much opportunity in that space, and I just think it's going to continue to be that way.
Yeah, can
And
we
we saw that in COVID too.
Yeah.
Like other companies crashed, tech companies
Yeah.
were fine.
Yeah.
And they still fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're probably making more money than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's now from our standpoint, my tech, you know, what we saw is like a lot of companies, they all of a sudden are prioritizing technology. Whereas we had these conversations before COVID, they're like, I can wait on that. I don't need I don't need
Right.
more bandwidth.
Right.
I don't need this or that. And you know, and now they're like, I need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not even a conversation. It's like, yo, we're taking orders in some of these conversations, so it's pretty cool. It's funny that you brought up like doing transactions on with credit cards, because I just read this article. I know I talked to y'all this morning about like companies accepting crypto as payment.
Yeah.
And so my tech, I'm gonna make the announcement right now.
Oh my God.
My tech by the end of this month is going to be accepting crypto as payments for our services.
I
It's
love
pretty
it.
cool,
I
right?
love it.
But that's just step one. I mean, that's just stage one of what we're gonna do.
Can they tip tech support too with crypto?
And no question, we'll figure that out. You know what I'm saying? Tip
Cool.
tip Barbie in the building. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but I always tell you that's where the opportunities go to help that. So, we're going to be accepting crypto, but I think that we're late to the game, to be honest with you, because big companies like Starbucks accept crypto now. Microsoft accepts crypto. Time Magazine accepts crypto for their digital magazine. You know what I'm saying? So I think PayPal enabled 29 million of their merchants to accept crypto.
Wow.
For payment.
Wow.
So I feel like we're kind of late to the game, but
Didn't you say a sports team?
yeah,
Thinking about
sports team.
paying.
Hey, we're not late. We need people to continue to
Sacramento
buy the
Kings.
crypto.
Well, here's the thing about the Sacramento Kings. So the NBA team, they are paying, or they're giving the option for their employees to accept their salary or their pay in crypto.
Yeah, there's a professional sports player who's putting all of his money in crypto.
You guys just
Which
mentioned
one was
that.
it?
Who was that?
Oh yeah,
Some football player, I can't remember who.
Yeah,
it was.
what was his name?
it was a football player.
I have to say, the
Eddie
only thing
O'Cameron.
I'm invested in is crypto and real estate. That's
Yeah,
it. Not
so you got that in the
stocks.
stock market.
No.
Hey,
I just am worried. It's because I put all my money.
because you're 24.
I just bought my house. Yeah. I just bought my house, and then I was like, well, I don't want to. And now I'm saving money up again, and I was like, I don't really want to put it in stocks because I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like a little bit of it's a risky economic time because we've been booming.
That's crazy because like a lot of people say crypto is risky, but I love that perspective. I talked to an older gentleman about a month ago, and he looked like he was in his 60s. Okay, he might have been in his 50s, but he told me he put his entire retirement
No way.
in crypto. Yeah, and he said he's up 300%.
Wow.
That's what he told me. Yeah. And I was like, you put 100% of your retirement? He's like, man, I put everything in there. But, you know, I feel you. Anyway, I didn't want to get off on crypto because that's a whole nother show.
That's the name that just came up.
Who is that?
Russell Okung.
Who's he playing for?
Said he plays for Seahawks.
Oh, yeah, Seattle Seahawks.
It said he will be the first NFL player paid in Bitcoin. $6.5 million.
That's crazy.
That is
Because
so
think about it.
crazy.
Bitcoin's price now is like, what, 57,000 or something per Bitcoin? A year ago it was like 6,000.
Yeah.
So it's almost 10x. So his 6.5 million could be 60 million in a year. So it's kind of a good move, given that he probably doesn't need the money if he's been playing for years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, Zap, you know, I want to ask you a question about, because I know you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of tech entrepreneurs, and what do you think is like the common theme or challenge that entrepreneurs face when they're trying to start a business or trying to grow their business? And then, you know, what resources do you lead them to, or what feedback do you give them?
Okay, big questions right there. There'd be several. From a tech perspective, I will say the most common, and this is true, one of the most common things is they have this great idea and they have no idea how to develop it and what that looks like. And it's definitely a problem in Nashville because other tech markets, so I think like a Silicon Valley or New York, has more tech talent, a CTO talent, of someone who's willing to, you know, partner up, co-found with you, and they build the MVP. So many people here have the idea and none of the skills to build that MVP. So I do connect them with other software engineers. I connect them with different dev shops saying, all right, here's your options, and here's probably go get different price points. Because it might cost you, you know, $10,000 to $60,000 just to build an MVP, and people don't realize that. I'm excited about, there's kind of this big hype around no code. Have you guys heard about that?
No.
There's building a lot of these platforms called just like, I think it's called like the no code revolution.
It's like Squarespace, you don't have to know how to code, but you can build a website.
Yeah, okay. So I saw like on Twitter yesterday, like there was this video of them essentially creating another piece of technology but with no code.
Yeah.
And they like did it live and showed how to do it just to show the power of this no code option. So that is like emerging more and more, but that's a big problem. You know, another big problem is, I don't know, there's like a million things I connect people to. I'm trying to think.
Can you break down the acronym MVP for me?
Yeah, minimum, not most, minimum viable product.
Okay.
So the MVP is really used to prove like that your market fits, or your product fits the market.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you'll need an MVP most likely if you want to raise capital, if you want to take on investors.
Right.
Essentially, you want the MVP to at least pilot it with.
Okay.
So like an example would be, you know, Trinity here, who you might interview one day. She's building technology interaction with a mirror. But before they built the whole mirror, she was like, well, let's just build an app to go on an iPad and like prove the user experience and measure what that user experience is like before we move from the iPad to literally putting it on a mirror, which is a lot more work, a lot more money. So the MVP building that is that's just like your bare minimum building.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I wanted a car as a teenager, and I told my parents what kind of car and all the bells and whistles I wanted this car to have, and it was like, bruh, get a bicycle. You know what I'm saying? Like let's start with like
get yourself an
one step up from walking is a bicycle. No.
Gotcha.
So but no, that's cool, man. I just think that we're in a revolution, and like a lot of entrepreneurs, everybody has ideas, you know? So we come up with these ideas but we don't know how to execute, you know, on these ideas. But that's why I love the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, because that navigation program is key, right? We can tap these resources that are right here, and it's really about hustle. You know, one of our values at MyTech, the H stands for hustle, okay? And hustle is not just about, you know, coming in and working hard every day, but it's also about using your resources. You know, I tell my team that all the time. Use your resources, because you can tap, you know, one of our vendors or partners or strategic alliances and say, hey, I need help with this, or I got a question about this, and then we can move the ball forward and move the needle in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. So it's really cool. Zap, I want to make sure that the folks know that you are still in shape.
Oh yeah, I tried.
We started a running group, a running group of 3.
A group might be a strong word.
Hey, well, there are 2 or more.
She said 2 or more.
I know.
He's in the myth. Okay, where are we going with that? Anyway, we started a running group and here at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. So if you're an entrepreneur in Nashville, come on out and run with us.
It should be popular, honestly. Here's my thing. Ask seriously, any business leader, they do something. And
That's
oftentimes
true.
what they do, there's something, some do like yoga and meditation, but the most successful people in this town, oftentimes they are runners, they are cyclists, they are, you know, triathletes. And there's something to it, you know. There's something to
no, it is
a good run before
Yeah.
you work.
Yeah.
Yeah, or after.
Or after.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's true.
but I think that
Whatever
like,
your preference.
I think I either read an article. Somebody told me that like most people who do triathlons, the average income is like $300,000.
No, listen, yeah,
that.
that's my joke. So yeah, the average income of an Ironman athlete is
Okay.
over $200,000.
You may have told me that. Yeah.
So it's kind of this running joke that like I'll go talk to other Ironman athletes. I'll meet them and I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm about to do an Ironman. Like, what do you think? Like, you think I can get a raise after I'm done?" Like, no, it's just because I mean, also the average age of a competitor is like 50 as well. It's one of those
Of the
things.
Ironman, for real?
Yeah, and it's so hard, but like
Hey.
it's so hard. You can only do it sometimes like once you've made the money. But I'm gonna do it ahead of time before I make the money, and then I can make the money. Maybe I'll do another one.
Yeah.
You know?
Now I can see that because I mean it's been proven that kids who play sports you learn so much. You
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
not learn how to lose. You learn. You don't necessarily learn how to win. You learn how to deal with failure. You learn how to pick yourself up. You learn how to race yourself.
Yeah.
You learn how to just take a little bit of initiative.
There's so
because-
many lessons
Yes,
like
it
that
is,
you
it is.
can. That's
It's
what I was
valuable,
telling.
yeah.
I was telling my wife like, because she was telling, well, I don't know if our son needs to play sports if he's grades on. I said, I don't care what's grades. Like, you need to play sports.
Yeah, well,
Because
usually
it's-
you have higher grades if you do the
yeah.
sports because
Yeah.
it forces you to like time
Yes.
manage instead
Yeah.
of being like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But there's so many lessons I was going to say that you can learn in sports that you really don't learn in school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And life won't teach you until you're like 20, 30 something. And
Agreed.
I think that like for me, I was telling my brother the other day or somebody, like when I go running for an hour or 2 hours, I learn lessons that it could have taken me years to learn. Like
Agreed.
literally. Like how to push through, how to listen to my body, how to self-talk, like all of this stuff you learn. But anyway,
Yeah.
I just think it's key, and so it's a
Yeah,
good
it
point.
is.
Like that, entrepreneurs are conscious about their health, and really pushing themselves physically in order to take those principles and apply them to their business. as
I
well.
have 3. Okay, so we had this whole speaker series of CEOs come in, and I was looking for something. Here's my 3 things. It's some sort of, doesn't need to be working out, but some sort of physical health thing. The second is they were all morning people. They're all
So they
willing.
got up early.
They're all willing to get up early.
See, I'm a shipper for a reason, bitch.
Yeah,
You
and-
went to office at like 4 o'clock this morning. weren't you?
Yeah.
No.
I walked in. I was like, dog.
I'm shipper for a reason. I remember my
Okay.
ex card like, good morning. He's like, boy, you're excited. Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
And people be like, "Oh, I'm not a morning person." No one is a morning
That's
person.
a belief system.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
decide, and like you get your sleep hygiene, and you get on
Yeah.
track. And then third is they all read books,
Wow.
all of them.
Okay.
And you would think that successful people wouldn't read books, but
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
learned that they do. Honestly.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
listening to Eric Thomas. Well, I listen to him every day, but in particular, he has this. What he said was, a lot of people say, "Well, I just read this book and it took me however long." He said, "I want you to go and get 20 books and read 2 lines out of each 20 books, and tell me if you have not retained more information than someone who's just reading just to say they read it."
Yeah.
And I think like. Getting back just real quick to the point of Entrepreneur Center, I see the emails that come out about like the classes, the workshops.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, that's education that is literally being sold by consultants on Instagram for $900 a class.
Seriously,
So,
yeah.
like, how to market, how to put this together, and and then the speakers that you guys have, are top notch in their field. Even to the point where I think even Joshua Mundy has a mentor here, that he, pours into, that he talks about on LinkedIn and stuff. And so it's just awesome. And I think a lot of people who are either thinking about going into business for themselves, or even just how to be a better business person, period, can benefit a lot from the workshops. And I think like what you do here is great, connecting people, because when you said, well, I guess I'm just like the traffic, I don't think it's, Bill says, don't say just, because I think like your role is like really, really important here.
Oh, I am
we
the
appreciate
air
you
traffic
very much.
controller.
There you go, girl. Not second.
Well, I think it's like the commitment, to your point, like of entrepreneurs have a commitment to personal development.
Yeah.
And that's why they read books. That's why they work out. And that's why they get up early, to get a jump on their day and to get ahead, So I think that's the real commitment, because I joke with some people sometimes. I tell them my car is a rolling university, you know, because every time I'm in my car, I'm listening to a podcast, an audiobook, a YouTube video that's going to, you know, enlighten me or help me make some money, right? Or make me a better person. So it's really key. Well, hey, Zach, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
It's been a great conversation. And man, I know the people appreciate it. And trust me, if you are, again, a small business owner, entrepreneur, make sure if you're in Middle Tennessee, plug into the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. If you're outside of Middle Tennessee, plug into one of the Google Hubs or one of the resources in your city to make sure that you're accessing, you know, use your resources, access these tools to help you grow and build your business, man. All right, y'all. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks
Zach.
for having me. Tech
Appreciate
don't
it.
sleep.
Tech don't sleep. No question.
Unfortunately, no.